everybody. Happy Wednesday. We're here today because Friday's a holiday, so we're taking Friday off, and Thursday we're booked. So today we are coming on live.
Hey everybody! Ha!
So today I thought I would sit down and do a little bit of animation brush drawing. I wanted to show you guys how I use the animation brush. I'm having a little lag problem with my software. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I'm going to fight through it. But we've got some sales going on the site.
We sure do. As you mentioned, it is a holiday this weekend coming up in the United States. It is the 4th of July. So we are having our annual 4th of July sale. This year you can get $15 off, an instant $15 off any order over $50 or more. Use promo code STARS15. That's STARS15, STARS15. That's good for annual memberships. That's good for combinations of courses. Just go to creatureartteacher.com, enter that promo code, or click the link in the header of the website to apply it instantly. Also, July is World Watercolor Month. So we are running a sale on all of our watercolor courses all month long. We've got courses from Aaron teaching watercolor, courses from Jenny Medved teaching watercolor, courses from Ronnie Williford, Tim Hodge. All of those courses are just $10 each, or you can get any two for $15. So the more you buy, the more you save. Go to creatureartteacher.com to learn more. I also want to let you know that our animation boot camp, we are down to only 3 spots left for our second animation boot camp. It's 90% sold. If you want to learn more, go to creatureartteacher.com/bootcamp. Join Aaron for 4 days in August where he's going to be teaching the fundamentals of animation. It's going to be awesome in person. We're going to spend the days together laughing, having a good time, and learning. Yeah, maybe we'll do some crying. Who knows? But over to you, Aaron.
So today what I am doing is I'm animating a little shark here. Thought it'd be fun to animate this shark swimming in place. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an animation brush with this. So the first thing I need to do is animate the shark. And then what I do is I'm going to grab those frames, and then we're going to create this little animated brush, and I can basically just paint that brush right across the screen, trace the path that I want the shark to go in, and it's going to swim right across the screen, and I can do a whole school of sharks. I can do this with birds, butterflies, insects, all kinds of stuff. I've done it with fish, and so I just thought it would be kind of fun to do it with this shark today to show you how I use this animation brush. So this is TV Paint software. I'm using 11 right now because I was having some problems with my computer using 12 earlier. But it's we'll have that all worked out. Right now I'm just I kind of went back to my old
Tried and true.
The old software, yeah. So here's a little shark character. No, not even a character, it's just a shark. And so sharks swim, they kind of go side to side. So this is the middle pose. So what I want to do is I'm going to create a new drawing. I'm going to turn on my light table.
50th anniversary of Jaws this year, by the way.
Oh, nice.
How is it? 50 years.
So you want to think of a shark like this. If I draw it from the top, they're going to be swimming in like this. Here's the tail. Here's the fins like this. So they go in this S kind of formation. Okay? So that's what I want to be thinking about as I'm animating it. So that first drawing is just to kind of get the shape. This one is going to be more about there's that center line. I'm going to look at the center line going down the front of the shark. And as it comes back, I'm going to change this a little bit.
Martin's already cracking jokes. Drawing shark. Do, 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 do.
That's funny because I read that, and I'm sure you're right. I read that as do 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 do, but yours makes way more sense.
Anto Glini is asking, what program are you using to drawing?
I am using TV Paint software. Whoops, let me bring that eraser down in size.
And Jenny from Facebook, silly question. Do alligators in Florida sense fear?
No, I wouldn't say they sense fear, no. Not a silly question.
How long? This is a TikTok question. How long have you been animating for?
I've been animating for 37 years. Yep, 37 long years. So what I'm doing here is I'm thinking about this shark kind of coming towards us, sort of like a 3/4 towards us on the front here. And then it's S-ing away from S-ing. S-ing.
Did you ever work with Andreas Deja?
Yes, I did. And yes, I have.
Martin says that I was right in this case.
And yes, for people asking, he is using TV Paint, and this is a Wacom Cintiq.
Yep, I'm drawing on my Wacom Cintiq.
The Wacom Wacom.
So sharks have this cool little. Turn this way. I want this to feel like there's this S shape. I'm gonna move him over here. I'm gonna shrink it down just a touch.
Did you work on Brother Bear?
I directed Brother Bear, actually. So yes, I did. I worked on Brother Bear. I actually co-wrote it, came up with the concept for it, and then directed it.
You know, it just occurred to me for TikTok, because of the microphone situation. We have 2 sets of wireless mics. In the future, we could have one plugged into that camera, and you just wear 2 mics.
Oh, that's great. That's a great idea.
And then they'd get the same audio as everybody else.
So here is the shark kind of going this way.
What do you think about when you're drawing a fish as opposed to a different animal? Anything different in your approach?
Yes. So in this one, I'm always thinking about anatomy, but I'm thinking about perspective, especially when you're drawing a animal like this from a shark like this, a fish from the side. I don't have the luxury of looking down on it to see the swimming side to side. I have to think about how it's oriented towards me.
Not quite a 3/4, but it's kind of oriented in your direction,
Yes,
right?
so it is kind of in the 3/4 direction. And then I want to think about it and then kind of going away, curving away from me here. So the opposite is going to be, I want to follow the same kind of basic silhouette. So watch, I'll show you what I'm going to do next. So I'm going to keep basically the same silhouette here, except I'm going to have fin over here.
Joe DeCina from YouTube asks, what's your favorite song from a movie that you worked on?
I love the opening to The Lion King. I like all the stuff that Phil did in Brother Bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. There's a lot of them I love. So this is going to fit the same silhouette here, except it's coming towards us. Here's the belly here, and then here, that fin is just going to, because it's going away in perspective, it's going to be a little smaller.
Are you still planning on doing that short, The Visitor? Getting a lot of people asking about that the last couple days.
Yes, actually, we'd love to do that. If you guys are really interested in it, then yeah, that sparks us even more to want to do it, huh? So here, the tail is going to be towards us, coming towards us more. So it's going to be bigger in perspective.
Any plans to visit Ireland?
Eventually we will, because we love Ireland. Nick and I have been there, and we really like it a lot. We don't have any plans on the book right now, on the books.
Aaron, have you ever felt burnout for a long time, like months? Like, do you feel you don't want to draw anymore? And if yes, how did you resolve that problem?
I don't have that problem too badly, only because I've gone through burnout, not for months, but yeah, I mean, you especially after a big project, you're always going to feel a little burned out. But you don't rush it, and you've got to force yourself to just take some time off. Don't worry about if you're not feeling it, you know, and then you'll get back to it. It'll come back, and you do things that spark creativity. Those are the things that I do to spark. You know, I go on trips. You know, that helps.
Marcos on TikTok says, "Can you give that shark legs, please?"
No.
By the way, if you are watching on TikTok, hit that share button. That really helps people find our stream. The hearts are great. We love that. But hit that share button. That really helps people know that this is something they should be tuning into.
There you go. So what I'm trying to do now is he's got to do that side to side, right? So I need the side view now, not the 3/4.
Why are you not working in Procreate Dreams today? Because Aaron is working on his desktop. He's working on a much larger screen.
Yes.
That is the main reason. Procreate Dreams is great on an iPad when you're on the go, but if you're going to be working at a desktop all day.
This is my go-to desk right here, my digital desk.
Why are you using this current software instead of
We just asked that question.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. Is this a great white shark or a blue shark?
That's neither. It's just kind of a generic shark.
Approximately,
It's more like a bull shark to me.
Approximately how long did it take you to feel comfortable using a Cintiq versus working on paper?
Oh, it was right away. Cintiqs are very user-friendly. It was right away.
Someone else saying, please, Aaron, can we see an update about that short film about the orange cat? Unrelated to the other person. So yeah, people are really digging the idea of The Visitor.
Wow.
Somebody mentioned it on the member stream today too.
Well, sure. See how he's going back and forth, especially if I take off the...
How is it not uncomfortable for you with your screen straight up like that and so tilted?
That's how I always work. I've always worked this way.
It's actually seriously better for you.
It's way better for you because it keeps you from getting carpal tunnel. It saves your wrist.
It saves your back too because you're
Saves
not
your
hunched
back.
over.
Yeah, I'm not hunched over. And it strengthens your shoulder muscles.
Sasha on YouTube asks, is it not uncomfortable to have
It literally just as
Dustin, you got to listen, my man.
I'm trying to read all these comments. Stay out of my territory. What animation projects have you been working on lately?
I have been doing a number of different things. We're doing our own we're doing our own animated feature that we're developing called Polar. So that's one. And then we've got a whole bunch of stuff. We've been really spending a lot of time promoting my latest film that I just created called Snow Bear. So we've been spending a lot of time promoting that. We just got back into the studio last week or 2 weeks ago.
You've worked with animation paper before, right?
Oh yeah, I've done lots of paper animation. That's what I spent most of my career doing.
Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Mulan, Pocahontas, and
Yeah.
even Brother Bear were all done on paper. Today he's animating digitally. This is TV Paint. He's animating a shark. Someone asked, are you going to color the shark?
I might,
TikTok.
yes.
Thanks everybody for hitting those like buttons and share buttons. Whatever platform you're on, please help us spread the word. Do you prefer digital or paper? TikTok question.
For production, I really like digital because it's much more efficient. For having a shot ready at the end, I really like paper. I like having a shot in my hand. The art of it. I like the art of that. I want to make sure I get this right. So as the head there, I'm gonna have
Well,
him-
What would you say is the best software for animatics or storyboards?
It depends. There's people that use all kinds of different
Storyboard,
software.
yeah,
Storyboard Pro is
Pro is one
popular.
that a lot of people use.
Some people just use Photoshop for storyboards.
I use Photoshop.
The thing about software is there's no magic software. If you're good at drawing and thinking about staging and all that stuff, there's different tools that different bits of software have that have different benefits. But ideally, as an artist, you should be able to jump from software to software and be successful.
What would you say is the best software for? Can you tell us the biggest movies you've worked on?
Probably the biggest movie I ever worked on was The Lion King. That's the biggest. But I worked on Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin and Pocahontas, Mulan,
A lot of the Renaissance.
Brother Bear.
He directed Brother Bear. Will the full version of Snow Bear be on YouTube eventually? I can't wait to watch it.
Yes.
It will eventually, yes.
Yes, we'll have it. You'll be able to stream it this year off of our. We'll be doing a big announcement regarding that soon. I think I'm gonna
Twitch
have
question or Twitch comment. I bought a Wacom 22 a few years ago because of your recommendation on them, and it is amazing. I still like traditional more, but I would also highly recommend a Wacom.
Yeah, they're pretty darn cool, aren't they? I'm gonna have it going this way, like it's.
Wolfie from YouTube says, "Hi, Aaron.
Hey,
Any tips for doing hard surface animals? Trying my hand at a robot fox, similar to the Good Hunting short from Love, Death, and Robots, but can't get the organic versus mechanical balance right."
Hard surfaces and hand-drawn animation are hard, right?
yeah, they are.
Lots of parallel lines, right?
Yeah, well, perspective and everything else. You know, one of the more famous instances was the way they got around it before CG was in 101 Dalmatians, Cruella de Vil's car. They built that as a model and filmed it, and then drew over it.
So it's basically the same idea as what they do with CG, right? Because
Yeah.
like in Great Mouse Detective, the clock gears and all that were CG, but then they drew over
Some of
top
the
of them, right?
earliest CG, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Tina Price worked on that, I believe.
Yeah.
yeah. Thinking about that made me start thinking of what I was talking about earlier on the membership stream about anime from the 80s and 90s, especially like the stuff that's like sci-fi with robots. The amount of detail those animators put into those machines is just incredible.
Yeah, it's interesting though. I was looking at it because I looked at the video that you posted. If
Yeah.
you look at it, it doesn't move very much.
It doesn't move very much, but
Yeah.
it's the amount of detail they put into it. But and also there's some of those movements of some of the aircraft that where they're like doing a roll or doing a spin.
Yeah.
And there is another video where instead of planes, it's all robots. But
Mhm.
even like with that, it's just the amount of detail they placed into them. That's the
Yeah,
big
no,
thing
but
for
it's
me.
interesting if you look at a lot of that stuff in the 80s and 90s animation of robot stuff, it really doesn't. It's what you're seeing is still images that are frozen with they move a little bit of stuff on top of it a lot of times.
Yeah.
To get there. But it's still effective.
Like sometimes they'll just move. They'll animate one part, like say just a head or maybe just an arm.
Yep.
But it's for budget
Well, exactly.
and time. But
Well, and
they're very creative.
Yep.
Very creative with the work.
sometimes having budget constraints is a good thing. In fact,
Yeah.
probably usually is a good thing. When films have unlimited budgets, it's when things can tend to go a little haywire.
Yeah. You get creative within your constraints.
Yeah, it reminds me of I watched over this last weekend they the Corridor Crew did an episode and
Speaking of which, we got to get a hold of those guys.
yeah, they did a reactive. They did their usual Saturday reactions of different VFX from shows and movies, and there's one that they looked at. This past weekend of I'm a Virgo,
Uh-huh.
which I believe is on Amazon or is on Hulu. It's one of those. It's one of those, but it's about a teenager who was born to be 13 feet tall, like he's a giant,
Oh, that's cool.
and it's like he's a normal looking guy, just 13 feet tall, and they used very little visual effects. They used a whole lot of like forced perspective.
Yeah,
They
I love
made
that.
they made a double scaled like puppet doll of the main character. They even made for all the other actors that are playing as normal size. They made like half scale dolls of them, like highly detailed high scale half scale dolls,
That's awesome.
and yeah, all because of budget constraints.
Have you ever drawn a Wolverine?
I have. I have.
Raid on Facebook is asking, can you tell me please how they made the sparkling effects of the diamonds when the dwarves are in the mines?
That is probably a question for Joey Mildenberger. We'll have to ask him. That'd be
Yeah.
an old school 2D effects animation technique, most likely.
Yeah, in his course, didn't you mention something about like how they would shimmer light by poking holes
Yep,
in certain
Yeah.
areas?
that's right.
And they would it would be two pieces of paper, like there would be the hole for the image and then there would be a hole for the background, and you slide the back bit around on like a light table of some kind, and that can create that shimmering light.
Yeah, and depending on how you set your exposure with film, it gives you that kind of burned out effect.
Yeah, and if I were to guess, that's probably how they did that effect for Snow White.
Yeah, I'd have to see. I'd have to see what they look like. I can't remember.
Joey'd know for sure, but yeah, that would make sense. Pinholes through. Speaking of which, we do have a 2D effects animation course on our website, and all of the courses on our website right now are on sale. And if you use promo code STARS15, you can get an extra $15 off your order.
So what I'm trying to do, what I'm struggling with right now, is that S curve in the body. Trying to get the tail coordinated.
Were you involved in the creation of those animatics of the Legend of Tembo that were released on YouTube?
Yes,
He was the director of the movie.
I was the director of the movie. I was the guy that released them on the internet.
I'm the guy that pulled the trigger.
Question for Aaron. I have a synopsis of a children's book story slash animated short I'm working on. How would you start to tackle it with noodling out the characters, or with noodling out the story? What should be my first steps?
You can do both. You go back and forth because sometimes one kind of informs the other. So, I obviously you want your story to be solid, but then you go back and you kind of work on character, and that helps a lot of times with kind of figuring out. It gives you ideas for new story stuff. So visuals will give you ideas for different things. So yeah, I would recommend kind of going back and kind of just going back and forth. Get your story to a point where you feel like it's like you've hit a milestone, and then start doing visuals.
Have you ever used 3D models for reference? Twitch question.
Yes, maquettes. Every literal 3D models, like actual statues. Yes.
For those asking, this is TV Paint Animation is the software that TV Paint. Do you happen to know what the first animated project ever was? Well, there's lots of debate over it, but some people say Gertie the dinosaur. There's a thing called Funny Faces.
I always give it to Gertie.
Windsor McKay.
Yeah.
Again, I want to let people know that July is watercolor month. So this month we are celebrating watercolor painting courses at Creature Art Teacher. Click the link in the bio or go to Aaron's website. You can check that out, Creature Art Teacher. All of our courses are just, watercolor courses are just $10 each or $2 for $15. Check it out. How many frames, Aaron, does it take to make a convincing shark?
Well, because I want it to be like I'm doing it 64 frames. I'll probably go make it a little shorter than that, but I'm doing 64 frames for a cycle. And I'm going at 24 frames per second. So right now I'm getting it down to 8 frames per drawing, and then I'll go to 4 frames per, I'll add more in betweens, go to 4 frames per drawing, and then 2 frames per drawing.
So you're going to get all the way down to 2s.
Yes.
Nice.
So you can start to see a back and forth, especially if I turn off my light table. See that back and forth on the front end of the shark?
Do you have a course or tutorials on how to use Toon Boom? We don't have a separate course on it, but in the 2D effects course we were talking about earlier, Joey uses Toon Boom. And really our courses are set up that they're software independent. So if you want to learn animation, we have tons of courses on that, but it's not how to animate in blank software, it's how to animate.
Exactly.
So the same principles apply whether you're in Toon Boom, TV Paint, pencil and paper.
Yeah, I've got
dreams.
lots of tutorials on YouTube regarding how to use the software in TV Paint. It's a little old, but it still basically works.
Did you ever get to meet Alan Menken? I love his music.
I did. I have. Yes. Sorry, I'm just figuring things out here real quick.
No, you're fine.
Just kidding.
Are you planning to attend this year's Playgrounds Festival in London?
Yes, actually, I think we are.
Have you seen Elio yet? Was it Elio or Elio?
No, I have not. Sorry, I'm thinking.
Guys, listen. All that.
It's back. I'm just using this as reference.
TikTok question. Can you explain what you mean by breakdown?
So a breakdown is a drawing that is not quite an in-between. So you have two key drawings, let's say, and you want to create drawings in between those two key drawings to smooth out the action. Now a breakdown is a drawing that is not quite, it's not a perfect in-between. It still is defining some of the action. It might not follow the in-between exactly. And so that's the breakdown. The in-between is literally just getting the character, smoothing out that action. So everything's basically broken down evenly. But a breakdown isn't quite an even, and when I say even, I don't mean, because you can have a drawing that's a third closer or, halfway or whatever. But they're all, all the parts are basically the same. So that's when you're in an in-between. A breakdown, maybe some of the parts do something a little differently. It's a good question.
Another YouTube question about the Visitor. Is it possible in the member streams for us to see you work on the Visitor? Or are you focused on Polar? It'd be great to see a change of environment. The answer is yes when we get to it. We've got a bunch of stuff we're working towards, and so some of it has deadlines that we're developing stuff for, and there's only one Aaron. So
yeah. Wow. That's pretty, I like that you guys are excited about that. Because it's a very doable short.
Mm-hmm. Sarah asks on YouTube, how does background art work typically? Does the artist come in frame by frame, or is the character overlaid somehow?
The character is overlaid.
Oh, Proco's watching. I love seeing you animate, dude.
Hey, dude.
Hey, dude.
Remember when you went through a phase calling me dude, Dustin?
Dude.
And I stopped it really fast?
Hey, dude.
You and your sister.
Sasha on YouTube asks, Aaron, do you have any opinions on Balto? I don't know if you've ever discussed it before.
Yeah, I love that film. The polar bears are so squishy. I wouldn't call them polar bears. I think their designs got really pushed. But I really like that film.
Jenny Jazzy Tunes asks,
Jenny Jazzy Tunes.
Question for Nick or Dustin or Aaron. Are the mosquitoes out in Florida around late September?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
They are out pretty much year round in Florida. They're
not too bad in the winter time, but yeah, they're
in September, they're definitely still around.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially during
it's still
the
very
rainy
hot.
season
Matter of
part.
fact, that's kind of getting into the peak of hurricane season, September, October. And the mosquitoes are nice and strong.
Yep. So thick they can accidentally get up your nose.
Yeah.
So
Happened
this
to
is
be
a
once.
father-son duo. How cute on TikTok. Technically,
And brother-in-law.
There's three of us here, actually, but yeah. Dustin is Aaron's son.
Hi.
I am Nick, is Aaron's business partner / brother-in-law. What tutorials or websites do you recommend for 14-year-olds starting out in animation?
Don't do it.
Well, I would strongly recommend our website,
Yes.
Creature Art Teacher. We have over 800 hours of art lessons, courses, animation tutorials. If you're watching on TikTok, the link is in the bio. Creature Art Teacher. Check it out.
Check it out.
All right, so now I'm going to come in here and we're going to start smoothing out this action.
Rocco says, I'm being cyberbullied for saying dude. Wow.
Dude. Yeah, I completely forgot about calling you dude all those times all those years ago. But I do remember early on when I started working here, I constantly called you boss.
Hey,
and you
boss.
didn't like that. Hey boss.
Twitch comment, Proco is here. He is on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, Proco is in the comments.
And check out his online education.
Proco.com. In fact, Aaron has a website on a course on charcoal drawing on his website.
Proco is an amazing figurative artist
Resource.
and instructor, and just an amazing teacher as well. His ability to explain concepts is awesome. I highly recommend his site as well.
Yeah, they're having a summer sale over there at Proco as well.
Summertime.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool dude.
Have
All
you
right.
ever worked together with the Imagineers?
Yes.
Several years ago, Aaron and I went to the Animal Kingdom, and Aaron taught animal drawing to some of the Imagineers. We got some behind-the-scenes private access to draw some of the elephants, which was really cool. But you've worked with them on a variety of projects over the years, right?
Yeah. We've and one of my best friends, several of my best friends are Imagineers. Got an itchy armpit.
Piccoli says been binging his Draftsman podcast. Really good background noise while drawing.
No noise. We're talking about
Proco.
Proco.
Procro's podcast, yeah.
You hear that, Proco? Background noise.
Jose asks, hey, Aaron, I'm animating a giant flying eagle right now, but I'm having a hard time getting the weight right. Can you give me some advice?
Well, the body's going to react to the wing beats. Also, the wing beats are going to be slower in the downbeat, especially with an eagle. Any big bird, not the yellow one, but any other big bird that flies is going to have a slower downbeat than an upbeat, because that's where all the resistance is. That's where they're scooping all the air. So you want to do that. Give more frames to the downbeat. And make sure that you're getting that anatomy right. Make sure you're getting the actual movement. You know, think of it as arms with feathers. They have elbows, they have shoulders, they have all of that. You know, the comparative anatomy is actually really fascinating on a bird's wing compared to humans. They've got all the same parts.
Would you ever make a TikTok question? Would you ever make a beginner to intermediate course or to advanced? We have a variety of skill level courses on the website.
Yes, we've got lots.
Did you ever get the opportunity to work with Jim Henson?
You know what? Jim Henson used to come into our studio, and that was really cool. But I never got to work with him. Him and Frank Oz would come into our studio.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And I'd hear Frank Oz doing Miss Piggy every once in a while. Never heard Jim Henson doing Kermit, but.
Hi ho, Kermit the Frog here.
Was my head getting in the way?
No.
Oh.
Have you seen Mushka?
Yes, I have.
Andreas's short film. Andreas
Yeah.
did a short film Mushka. We've had the privilege of seeing it the year before last.
Yeah.
CTN.
Yeah. Andreas is a genius animator.
YouTube question. Aaron, in an interview, you said that good drawing skills are the main fundamental in animation. So do you think that any professional fine artist or comic artist could switch over to an animation career at a later age?
I do. I think if you can draw, now we're talking about 2D animation. I always equate drawing in 2D animation, or any art for that matter, if you're drawing representational stuff, it's like language. The better you are at language, the better poetry you can write, or the better songs you can write, right? And so if you think of art in the same way, and animation in the same way, the better you are at that language, that visual language, the better animation you can do, and the better songwriting you can do. So that's, when we sit down to animate something, when we sit down and create an animated film, and we're trying to get the ideas across, we're not sure. We try to tell each other the ideas sometimes, but you don't say it, you show it. And so the better you are at getting your ideas across in that way, the better off you're going to be as an animator. See how that tail, it follows the head. It's a little skippy, but there we go.
What animation software do they use at Disney?
I don't know what I'm sure they're using Maya, but
Yeah, for 3D animation, they're mostly using Maya. But back, if you're talking about Lion King, Beauty and the Beast,
yeah, that was all
Aladdin,
paper.
It's all done on pencil and paper. Now, they did have a proprietary coloring software called CAPS that they used for the digital color. But that started after Little Mermaid. Prior to that, everything was painted on cells.
It really was.
Which, what I think would actually be really popular is if you painted on some cells.
I know. Yeah, that would be cool.
What is CTN?
CTN is the Creative Talent Network.
Yes, and they have an expo once a year in November in Southern California in Burbank. In fact, I'll post a link.
And I really recommend attending. And they've kind of moved over to doing wonderful scholarships. And I'm proud to say that I'm involved in the scholarship program with them. And I've got 2 amazing story artists that I'm working with right now.
Thank you so much for the paper animation course, Aaron. Yes, actually, in case you missed last week's live stream, our paper animation course is currently free for a limited time. Absolutely free. Just go to creatureartteacher.com/paper and you can pick that up. There's no strings attached. It's yours to keep. It's not there's not time limited. You can watch it as much as you want. That's streaming access. If you want to download it, there's a small fee to allow you to download it and keep it as much as you want. We also have, it's the 9-year anniversary of Aaron's character design course, and we just added a brand new bonus lesson to that course. You can pick that up for just $5 at Creature Art Teacher. That course is over 20 hours long, it's over 18 hours long. It includes over 20 videos, nearly 25 with that bonus lesson now. Go to Creature Art Teacher, pick up that course, and again, we're having our 4th of July sale, so if you use promo code STARS15, you can get an instant $15 off any order totaling $50 or more. And we don't have a slide for this, but we've also got free shipping on books this weekend in the USA if you use promo code USA Books. USA Books.
Books. Bix. Did you ask Sea Striker's question? What software would you recommend for animating? And also, how did you animate the antlers for the moose and brother bear?
Yes, very good catch there. Well, first of all, for hand-drawn animation, I recommend TV Paint. That's what I'm using today. I've never used, and Procreate Dreams is really good as well.
If you're on
an
an
iPad.
Yep.
I've never used Toon Boom, so I can't say. But I know Toon Boom is very popular as well. It's a subscription-based software. But I really love TV Paint. It's a single one-time purchase. And it's awesome. I've used it for 10 years now. And I really, really dig it.
Now, what about the moose antlers?
So the moose antlers, thank you. I can remember what the other part of the question was. So the moose antlers was really cool. So what happened was the animators that animated the moose, they animate them, on paper like they did normally, and they would indicate where the antlers would be on the key drawings. And then the antlers themselves were built 3D, and so the drawings of the moose were digitized into the computer, and then the 3D artists would take the antlers and orient them on the head where they're supposed to sit, and then they would print them out, and the cleanup artists would clean up the animators' drawings and then take the 3D printouts and trace over those, and so you ended up with very solid, very complex shapes to the antlers. It was a really cool little system they had going.
Have you switched to doing your Friday streams to Wednesday?
No, Friday is a holiday here in the United States. It's the Independence Day. And so that's everyone's off on that day. And so we decided to kind of kick the weekend off a little early and get some sales going. And we were booked on Thursday.
Yeah, we would have
couldn't do
normally done
Thursday.
it tomorrow, but
So we decided to do today. So today is just a fluke.
And speaking of 4th of July, Rada's asking, how are you going to celebrate 4th of July?
by working.
By working.
I'm going to relax, eat some hot dogs, and watch Independence Day.
Do you have any tips for a storyboard portfolio?
Yes. Do storyboards. So, a sequence where you have a character that has a problem that needs to be solved. You have a change of idea or something that happens in the, you have an old lady needs to cross the street and somehow she makes it across the street. How does she do it? What happens? And so, you want to show your creativity. You want to show, there's a problem presented, and then you get through it. You get a change of emotion, change of attitude, any of those. And I would say 3 to 4 sequences in your portfolio. And if you can cut them together, that would be great. Timed out.
Daniel on TikTok says, I animate in Flip-A-Clip, and I'm your biggest fan.
Hey, that's awesome.
And Don Corey
Hey, Don Corey.
asks, so about the moose antlers.
Yes.
Was that the same method as the elk in Fantasia 2000?
I don't know. I don't know how they did it. Did the elk, to be honest with you.
Probably similar because...
Probably, yes.
And someone on TikTok said, I love seeing you here, Leslie says, and I took many of your courses on Creature Art Teacher. They are amazing.
Hey, thank you.
By the way, if people don't know...
If you're on TikTok, share.
Yeah, hit that share button on TikTok. If you don't know, Aaron has a website, Creature Art Teacher. It has over 800 hours of art lessons, courses, and that's everything from animation to traditional drawing, Photoshop. We've got photography courses on there. We've got artist reference photo packs. We've really tried to build out, we spent the last 13 years building out what we think is an incredibly robust library of courses and all high quality content. And best of all, we really try to make our prices affordable. That's always been a main goal of ours. And as a result, we've had people all over the world take our courses. In fact, we've been at it long enough now that we've got many people that are working careers in the industry that have said, hey, I got my start thanks to your courses, and now I have a job in animation or in professional arts. So it's been really cool to see that. So if you head on over to Creature Art Teacher, check it out. I'll post a link or click the link in the bio. And we also have a membership option. In our annual membership, we have a monthly streaming plan and an annual plan. The annual plan gets you everything on the website, plus everything we release over the next 12 months of your membership. And by the way, that's all yours to keep. You get to download and keep all that stuff. So if you do decide to cancel your membership, you get to keep the courses.
That's right.
What have you got to lose? It's the best value in art education. Creature Art Teacher. Hit that share button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit it.
And if we don't have it, check out Proco.
Yep. Check him out anyway, because there's a, just like in school, different teachers teach things different ways, different students learn from different things, different ways. And we're a big believer that rising tides raise all boats.
Yeah. We want all of our good educators to be successful, because I think online education, I mean, already people get their education that way, but I really do think it's a really great alternative.
By the way, that promo code STARS15, that'll take $15 off a membership plan as well. Hey, Proco asked, hey, you guys mentioned a free paper animation course. What's that all about? What's in there? And it's free?
Yes.
Well, why don't you explain what's in the course?
Yes, it's my approach to animating on paper. So I'm going to teach you how to flip the paper, right from the very basics. And then I take you through the fundamentals of animation, but we're just doing it on paper. So we're doing the bouncing ball. We do a little walking teddy bear character. I've got model sheets for the character. It's all very, very user friendly in the sense that you don't have to be really great at drawing. If you're just still learning how to draw, I made sure to make it so that you could still do this course. And I made sure that the characters are relatively simple, and you can just really have fun with the animation. I talk about what equipment we use to shoot the animation. We do all of that.
It's a comprehensive course. The course is close to, let's see, I think it's like 18 videos, and I think it's 15 hours long.
And along with it, we've got other courses on acting for animation. I've got my animation course on my approach to animating shots, all of that.
You take them through dialogue, X sheets, and that.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I do on the paper animation as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you got to lose, people? It's free.
You could lose it all.
There, see how that tail is kind of delayed? So now we've got it on 2s. I mean on 4s, sorry. Now I can put this on 2s. Let's do that real quick. It'll be a little faster. It'll be twice as fast, actually. Twice the speed.
Yeah, the paper animation course is 22 hours long. 17 videos. Sorry, I had to look it up.
So there's our little shark swimming. Baby shark doo-doo. So let's do this. Let me find.
Do you have any courses on storyboarding?
We have got lots of courses on
We have
storyboarding.
several courses on storyboarding, all of which are on sale. I'll post a link. By the way, again, they're all eligible for that Stars 15 discount. We've got several different approaches to storyboarding from several different award-winning instructors, including David Coleman, Woody Woodman, Tim Hodge, Lyndon Ruddy, all of which work in the industry. We've also got courses on story development, how to pitch stories.
All sorts. Erica says, love the shark animation.
Thanks, Erica.
Thanks. An avocado. Thanks.
So now what I want to do.
No Face MK on YouTube asks, "Hey, I've learned so much from you and I'm so thankful, but I have a question. I don't know how to draw clothes. How can I learn to do that?"
Well, I've got a course on that. I've got a course on how to draw the various folds in different fabrics. Matter of fact, in that course, I use various mediums. I do it digital. I use acrylic paint. I use watercolor paint. I use oil paint. I use all kinds of stuff. But I talk about all the various folds and fabrics that you'll come across. You know, you want to think about clothing. First of all, you want to, you know, a lot of times when people say they don't know how to draw clothes, you're not gathering reference. So you want to look at reference, you want to look at people, and that's where you start. And then you think about what are the qualities of the fabric that you're drawing. You know, different fabrics have different qualities. So they hang differently. And then you want to think about, you know, where's the tension? Where's the fabric contacting the skin? Where's the weight of the fabric going? If the fabric's being stretched as I'm reaching, you know, how is that? What's happening there? So I cover all that kind of stuff in my course.
I posted a link to the storyboard courses, or you can click the link in our bio. And Proco says, "Have a great rest of the stream. I got to take off. I got to do some stuff."
Do some stuff. Do it.
Do it.
Hello, huge fan. I wanted to try to fly out for your Orlando course, but I couldn't due to finals. I hope I get to make the next animation course. Well, we will be announcing more soon. Right now, for those people who don't know what we're talking about, August 14th through 18th, we are having a live animation boot camp in Orlando, Florida. It's 4 days of learning. It includes hotel, includes food. You just have to get yourself there. Go to creatureartteacher.com/bootcamp and learn all about it. We're down to 3 spots left.
Yeah, so
It's 90% sold out.
we're almost there.
Sorokai on YouTube says, hello, love
Hello.
your work.
Thank you.
I'm an amateur animator and I need help with smear frames.
Oh yeah.
Do you have a
smear
course?
frames.
Do you have a course on that at all?
I do cover smear frames in my animation courses.
Several of them. You talk about it in the fundamentals course quite
Yeah.
a bit, but you also talk about it in the acting for animation course, your scene approach course.
I do.
You can't really do animation without smears in some capacity.
Exactly.
Not-
Especially if you're doing broad, fast action.
And Geert Rutten on Facebook says, by the way, I loved the bunny hop move you posted.
Oh, thank you. That was fun.
Sharon says, "For that boot camp, can we use Procreate? I don't have anything else." Well, here's the thing. We actually supply all the equipment. You're gonna have a computer and a Wacom provided to you during the boot camp. All
So-
you have to bring is yourself.
Exactly. So what Nick and I have done, we decided we wanted to start doing a lot more of these in-person boot camps and lessons. We're working towards some pretty fun stuff. And so we decided early on this year to make a big leap, and we purchased 30 computers and licenses for the computers for animation, and so that people didn't have to worry about bringing their own stuff. And there you go. So all you have to do is show up, like Nick said, and we've got everything covered: hotel, food, breakfast and lunch, all of that.
Dory888 on Twitch says, "Thank you so much for animating two of my favorite Disney movies of all time, Mulan and Beauty and the Beast. Those movies have been a huge inspiration to me my whole life."
Thank you. I'm glad you like them.
For people who don't know, Aaron animated the Beast in Beauty and the Beast, and in the Mulan, he designed an animated Yao and all of the ancestor ghosts.
That's right. Yow.
It's pretty
Another
cool,
round.
I guess.
I can't do a Yao impression.
No, you gotta talk like this.
Ah,
And
you know what it is?
Yeah.
I was never a smoker.
Yeah.
And
Well,
there's nothing you girl can do about
if
it.
you smoke, you can talk like this.
It's funny, whenever I get a really bad cold, like sore throat and all that, like it changes my voice so much that I can end up impersonating both Yao and Optimus Prime perfectly.
Did you know that Shark Awareness Day is in July? Coincidence or not?
I did not know that. I love sharks. Being a Floridian and being in the ocean avidly, I have encountered sharks many times and I love them.
Yeah, so the boot camp's not online. No, it is a live in-person event in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, no, it's in person for sure. We want to do more of those.
We will be doing more online events as well, but this is a intensive 8-hour day boot camp.
Yeah, there's a lot of in-person stuff that we're planning over the next year that we're very excited about. The animation boot camps are the first ones. We'll be doing some more live events coming up that we'll announce throughout the year.
Marianne on YouTube asks, having a voice actor among the crew? just a lot of impersonations mostly.
Is there a particular actor that you dream of working with?
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges. That's like your opinion, man.
Where can we watch Snow Bear for free? Well, you can't yet. It's currently in the film festivals. If you want to learn more about Snow Bear, go to snowbearshort.com. Or Snow Bear Film Short. Wait, is it? Why can I not? Snowbearshort.com. I said it right. Sorry.
We're going to be streaming it in the next few months. And
stay tuned.
yeah, we've got some announcements for that. And just know that you'll be able to help us fund our next big project.
Do you still sell the first edition of the Art of Aaron Blaze coffee book?
We would if it wasn't sold out.
It is sold out right now. We haven't gone into reprints yet.
Would you ever think of having an animation boot camp outside of the U.S.? Yes, we would. As
Yes,
a matter of fact.
matter of fact, that's why we got the computers, so that we can take them all over the place.
Just throwing out an idea. How about a zoo day with Aaron drawing the animals and letting us tag along? We've done that before.
On YouTube, what was your experience co-directing the film Brother Bear?
The experience was awesome.
Everything was awesome.
It was 6 years worth of experience.
It was.
Everything was cool when you're leading a team.
I want to have a little bit of a slow out in there. I'm going to add another drawing.
Niam Sinclair says, "Oh my goodness, please come out to the UK for the boot camp."
Yeah, we know.
Funny you mention that. I've actually got to have
Yeah,
a conversation with Aaron after the stream about that.
that's great. The current
Ink Lightning on YouTube says, "This shark looks fantastic."
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Once it's done, you want to look at the show reel we've done this year. A show reel.
Yeah. Baby shark.
Follow up to that book question. Any plans to reprint? Because I missed the chance of buying it and I'm in love with the second edition. It's the best investment I've ever made. Yes, we do plan on reprinting. Just stay tuned for more information. We don't have immediate plans, but it will happen.
Stuck in your head, isn't it?
Yes.
How many countries have you visited?
I have visited, I think I'm up to 29. I haven't been to the South Pacific yet. So we haven't been to New Zealand or Australia. And I haven't been to other than Hawaii, I haven't been to any of the, further out South Pacific islands. I've been as far as Singapore, going into that area, but I haven't made it down to below the equator in the South Pacific.
Matt asks, would you ever do a boot camp on a subject besides animation, drawing from nature, for example? Yes, we've actually got plans for a variety of boot camps. In fact, we've done live workshops in the past. We rented a castle and did watercolor painting. So we're going to do stuff beyond just animation, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Can one attend the boot camp in sandals too?
Yes, you
Because you
can.
can in Florida.
That's what I'm wearing now. That's our dress code. Shorts and flip-flops. Nick and I rarely wear anything else.
Well, we wear shirts.
Well, yeah, given.
And actually, am I wearing shorts? No one knows.
Dad, why aren't you wearing any pants?
Scoot over.
Oh God, no.
Do you have any courses on TV Paint?
I've got videos on my YouTube channel that take you through how to use TV Paint. I've got courses on animation, but it's not software specific. So and I do that on purpose because I don't want you to have to buy certain software in order to follow my tutorials.
Aaron's using TV Paint right now, as a matter of fact. This is
Yeah,
TV
I'm
Paint.
using TV Paint.
The course, all of our animation courses are generally taught in TV Paint, so Aaron does touch on how to use the software, but there's no need for a standalone course on it.
What is the strangest medium you've drawn in? The strangest medium you've drawn in?
Coffee, I guess.
Coffee?
So there's their little, the tail is a little fast, but it's all right. I would probably adjust it a little bit.
Very nice.
Are you planning on making another original movie, Aaron?
Yes. When? I don't know.
Jonathan says, hi from Guatemala.
Hey, how are you doing? I wonder if I can do an animation brush on twos. I don't know if I can or not. I don't know if it does it on twos. I'm going to go ahead. Do we have the time? We're only an hour and 10 minutes in. To in between this?
Matt, you
As much time as you want. For people just joining us, we're having our 4th of July sale this weekend. Go to Creature Art Teacher and our promo code STARS15. You can get an instant $15 off any order over $50 in value. That's all of our courses, memberships, brush packs, Photoshop brushes, texture packs. We've got over 800 hours of lessons, courses, thousands of brushes, courses on photography, 3D animation, 2D animation, effects animation, drawing, painting, photography, you name it, we've got it. Storyboarding, story developing, creatureartteacher.com. Also, July is watercolor month, so all of our watercolor painting courses are also on sale. They're marked down to just $10 each. And the more you buy, the more you save.
I love watercolor. It was the first medium outside of drawing that I learned when I was young. I started painting watercolors when I was 8 years old. And it's been one of my favorite mediums. I love teaching it.
Hi from Ukraine on TikTok.
Hey, how are you?
Which movie that you worked
Proco,
on?
Proco's home country.
Yeah. Which movie that you worked on was in production for the longest?
For me, it was Brother Bear.
Brother Bear was the longest production?
For me, yeah, well, I don't know how long the other ones were total, because I was on the other productions. The longest I was on was about a year and a half. But for Brother Bear, I was on for 6 years.
Yeah, because usually for the other films, you come in to do the animation bit.
Yeah,
but
and then
when
you
you're
move
a
on.
director, you're like
then we move
beginning
on
to
to the
very
next
end.
film. Yeah.
Where do sharks go on summer vacation?
Um,
Finland.
Finland. Look at that. That could be any fish.
Is there still discounts of TV Paint via Creature Art Teacher available?
Yes.
Yes, there are if you become a member.
Become a member, and the discount on TV Paint is almost the amount that you pay for the membership. So you're getting a full savings right there.
Pretty much pays for itself.
It does, yeah.
In fact, I think depending on which version you buy, in some cases it exceeds the cost of the membership.
Yeah.
What is your favorite mythological creature?
I love the Minotaur.
Minotaur.
I love Cyclopses.
Mm.
I think Griffins are pretty cool.
How do you know when a scene is done? Is there a moment where it feels emotionally complete, even if it's technically imperfect?
Yeah, I mean, you set out as a goal. You know, when I set out to animate a shot is always meant to be a puzzle piece to the bigger picture, and so you want to sit down and understand what is that puzzle piece meant to convey. What is its job in the big picture? And so you figure that out, and then you figure out the best way to convey that, and then you go for it. And when you're done, hopefully you've done it, and then you move on to the next shot. So as far as, you know, achieving that, that's, you know, over time. I've been doing this for, like I said, 37 years. And so that's, I always feel like, okay, this one shot is just part of a bigger whole. So, you know, I don't think of shots as, you know, these standalone things.
Do you think there's an age that it's too late to start animation?
No. Animation is a fun art form that you can start at any time, and you can spend a lifetime perfecting it and exploring it.
Question: has anyone ever gotten their animation career or anything related from your art courses, or don't you know? Yes, we discussed
Yeah.
that earlier. We've had many people tell us that.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people come up to us,
And it's happening
actually
more
getting
and
more and
more.
more. Yeah, where people come up and say, "Hey, I couldn't afford college," which is one of the reasons we started our site, is because college has gotten so expensive. They said, "Hey, I couldn't afford college, but I took your courses and I just got my first job in animation, or I just got my first job, you know, illustrating or whatever." And that I love to hear.
We're hitting the goals. Question for all three of you: Have any of you ever seen or heard of the webcomic / YouTube series Lackadaisy?
What is it?
Lackadaisy. I don't know if I have.
I'm not familiar with it either. So look it up.
Sounds familiar.
All Our little shark is swimming. I'm just smoothing it out now.
It's swimming. It's swimming.
And then we're going to put color on it.
I'm sorry, Carla, for missing your question there. Will we see Snow Bear online before November? That's going to be exactly 1 year of finishing it. And also, any updates on that new short? Thanks.
No, you won't see it before November. But right around November.
If you see it at a film festival, you will.
It's currently in
But
film
you won't see it
festivals.
online before November.
Oh, yes. I have seen Lackadaisy a while back. Almost like back when the pilot first released. It's
Now, hold on. Sorry, Dustin. I got to answer this question. If you are a member, because we for our lifetime members, we're doing a private screening, and that if you are a private or a lifetime member, we will be doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because we're committed to that.
Yes, and so we just have to do what's called four-walling, meaning we have to get it in a theater to show first, which we'll be doing next week, hopefully. That's not in concrete yet. And once that's done, then we're freed up to do that, to do our screening online for members.
If animation disappeared tomorrow, what medium would you use to express the same emotional beats?
I would just be doing paintings, digital art, traditional art, music. I love music.
Quick question, if you haven't talked about it already, do you ever get imposter syndrome?
I used to, not so much anymore.
I know when you got the Winsor McKay Award, you felt a little...
Well, that just felt, there's a lot of people out there that were much more deserving than me.
See, that's the imposter syndrome right there. So the answer is yes. Yes, he does. Did you animate Nala?
I created and animated Nala.
Young
Yes.
Nala, right? You didn't
Yep,
do...
young Nala.
Yep.
I didn't do adult Nala.
Why do they split the characters up that way? I'm just curious. Just because of the amount of footage in the film?
I guess. To be honest with you, I'm not sure. I think because I was in Florida and Mark Henn was cast to do young Simba, it just made more sense.
Mm-hmm. Corvids asks, Aaron, do you offer art critique service? I'm taking a few of your courses and working on some character designs and would love you to have a look at them.
Not currently, but we will be working towards that.
If you become a member on our website, we do occasionally do member feedback critiques, and also we have a members only Discord server. So again, if you become I'll post a link, but if you become a monthly streaming or annual member, you get access to our members only Discord. You also get exclusive members only streams that Aaron does, as we alluded to earlier. When we made Snow Bear, we live streamed over 400 hours of the making of, and we will continue to do that on our next projects. In fact, members are already seeing our upcoming projects. We've got a number of things we're working on. So consider getting a membership to creatureartteacher.com.
Which is fun and exciting. Exciting and new.
We also play music on those live streams too, because we can,
Yes.
because they're private. So you get to hear Aaron's 70s music rotation.
Right. Sorry, baby. I was born in the 60s.
Or sometimes it's just chill vibes. I'm literally, Gentendo says, I am literally drawing a shark right now, except mine is a street shark and it isn't moving. Also, I just became a member last week and it's 100% well worth it.
Oh, great. Well, thank you. I'm glad you like it. We aim to please at Creature Art Teacher.
What's Aaron's favorite go-to painting medium? Watercolor, gouache, oils?
Watercolor.
Are you a fan of Winsor McKay? I'm actually surprised there hasn't been a Little Nemo reboot.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Winsor McKay. Yes, absolutely. Winsor McKay paved the road for everybody.
They actually did a live action take on Little Nemo recently. I think it's called Slumberland. It's got Jason Momoa in it.
Yeah.
I didn't actually see it. Martin says, I love the live streams. Team Cat Creature Art Teacher is the best. Well,
Martin.
thank you, Martin.
Martin, who's that? Never heard of him. Never heard of her.
What is Aaron's favorite go-to painting medium? Is it watercolor, gouache,
Yeah,
oil,
that's what
acrylic?
Dustin just asked that one.
Oh, he did. Sorry.
That was watercolor.
I thought you were talking about watercolor, and then I was like, wait. Have you ever animated a video game?
Yes, I worked on the was it Sega?
Sega and
The-
Super Nintendo.
The Sega versions of Aladdin and The Lion King.
The 16-bit versions. It was released for both systems. So the classic Lion King and Aladdin video games.
How we doing on there?
We were up to 1,000 at one point, but it's back down to 450.
Yeah, because of we're saying URLs, but that's all right.
Well, I also think it's digital versus paper. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I had said the URL right at the beginning. Old habit.
Well, I wasn't too worried about it. I would have mentioned it.
What's your greatest achievement?
Birth, being born. No, the greatest achievement is
You're a pretty good dad.
that's what I was trying to find a way to phrase that. You know, raising my kids, being a father, being a husband, raising a family. I think those are my best achievements.
Erica says, Nick, we're wearing the same shirt today. For people who don't know, we sell this shirt. Dustin, go to the
Yeah.
right here. This is Aaron's artwork. It's a lion. He's not lying.
He's not lying.
CreatureArtTeacher.com/merch. We've got shirts. We've got mugs. All the above.
I almost reached. I was looking for a pencil sharpener.
That would have been bad.
So we're getting there. This is coming out. I'm happy with how this is coming out.
Aaron, I believe you're left-handed, correct?
Correct.
As a fellow left-hander, did you ever have issues with traditional mediums like accidentally smudging your work, etc.?
Oh, I think that you run into that issue whether you're left-handed or right-handed.
In fact, in our Tim Hodge has several courses on pen and ink drawing and drawing in general, watercolor painting, which are on sale. He talks about just being very methodical in how you're working to avoid that.
Yeah.
So you're working from one side of the paper to the next.
You know, I had a job when I was 18. I worked for an engineering firm as a draftsman. And we did everything in ink. This is in 1985. And I very much learned how to be neat in my work.
TikTok question. Hey y'all, I'm actually very interested in learning cell painting. What paints should I use?
Well,
We have a
this-
box of the actual
We do,
paints
but
somewhere.
Disney had made their own cell paint. So there is cell paint out there that you can get through cartoonsupplies.com.
The box that we have that we were sent is Disney cell paint.
Yeah, I don't know where that is.
We'll have to find it. That'd be fun to do on a live stream one day.
Yeah,
Old Kent Gardner.
yeah. Unisol Kent.
Yep.
Can you make a video on animal reference books? Love the video you made on bird anatomy for artists.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, because I've got a lot of books out there. I'm going to save this really quick because it's starting to lag a little bit.
Someone asked the question while you're doing that. This was a Twitch question, how do you visualize the rotation of a character for animation?
It's exactly what you just said. I visualize it. I see it in my head. I think of the character in 3 dimensions. Wow, what is going on here? Why is this doing this?
What's
There we go.
happening?
It was just super laggy.
I wonder if the Thunderbait's having issues.
Oh.
I need to check those drives because I just had a drive that failed on me that I had to replace.
Ooh, that's no good. That's scary. So yeah, so I think about, there's a lot of different ways I think about this. I think about this shark in 3 dimensions. I think about how it's, how it's going to move, its rotation, all of that. And I picture that in my mind. But then I have actual practical ways of making sure that it stays consistent, where I'm following silhouettes and things like that. We're halfway through the in-betweens. That went pretty quickly. We did that in less than 20 minutes. Let me make sure that we've got my auto save set up.
Ashley asks, hey Aaron, I'm an engineer and everything I draw for work has to be exact. Therefore, when sketching, I struggle to let things be loose. Any tips?
The more you do it, the better you get at it. And you have to consciously think about being loose. You've really got to think about it. That's the best thing I can tell you, is set out to be loose when you're drawing.
For people asking, this is TV Paint. That's the software that he's using. He is drawing on a Wacom Cintiq. They don't make this model anymore. This is a Wacom 32-inch, right?
Yeah, this was the biggest one that they made. Well, it's the biggest one they ever made. But then they make a 27 now.
Which is actually, even though it sounds 5 inches smaller, really isn't, because there's a big bevel on this.
Yeah.
They're pretty comparable in size. What are your thoughts on AI? Personally, I'm not a fan because I've always loved hand-drawn animation way better.
Well, that's where I am. So AI is what I always say. It's part of our lives. It's going to infiltrate our lives even more. We're still in the infancy of AI, and so in 20 years, in 5 years, it's going to be so integrated into our lives, not just image creation and filmmaking, but every aspect of our lives. It already is almost everywhere. And so, yes, there are definitely copyright issues with AI that will be solved. That's going to eventually be solved. And it's going to integrate, and it's going to become a tool. Right now, when I went through the phase when CG was coming into the market for animated filmmaking, and we were like, that's not animation. And, we went through the same thing then. And I never thought it was, I didn't think it would affect the industry the way that it did. AI is going to do the same thing. It's going to become a tool. It's going to become another medium. And it remains to be seen. Now, that being said, the thing that I always say is that I love the process of making animated films, of creating images, of painting, drawing. When I sit down to animate a shot, I animate it because I love the process of animation. So I don't want to give that to a machine. I want to be able to do that myself. AI films will be sitting alongside hand-drawn films in the same way that, CG films kind of sit next to 2D films. The pool will get bigger, and people will make films with AI. That's fine. Other people will continue in the same way that painting continued when photography came into the market and became an art form. AI will do the same thing. It's not going to stop people from creating by hand. It might affect the mass market industry, the big studio industry. in the same way that CG affected the industry when we were trying to do everything by, hand drawn. So yes, it's going to affect it in that way, but the rest of it's not going to go away. It's going to be done alongside AI.
And to be honest, you did a whole video on this topic about how the you don't do it for the
Exactly.
end product anyway. You do it because you enjoy the process of making hand drawn.
Exactly. That's what I was saying earlier, is that, I like sitting down and animating a shot by hand. That's what I enjoy doing. The end product is the bonus.
YouTube question: when did you stop needing to use arcs for your animation, and did you use arcs while animating Snow Bear?
I use arcs everywhere. I
never-
never stopped using arcs.
Arcs are one of the 12 fundamentals of animation.
I put arcs in everything. I think you might mean when did I stop like drawing them out? I never did draw them out. I picture the arc going across the frame, going across the image area.
This is an interesting question. Did you feel like you could fully express creatively when you were directing, or did the scale of it cause you to make many compromises in your vision at Disney? Also, what do you prefer more, studio work or what you're doing now?
Well, whenever you're doing a huge project that requires 350 people to work on it, which is what Brother Bear was, and all the other films at Disney, there is a level of compromise that you have to do. No single film at Disney in the animation department is any one person's vision. It isn't. There's too many people, too many cooks in the kitchen, and that's just how it is. Now, I love working in that environment as well, because I do feel like, a certain number of heads are better than one. As a director, it was my job to sift through all of that and make the right decisions based on that. So in the end, I did have along with my co-director and a number of other people, we had the ability to have the final say. Now, when it comes to making a smaller project like Snow Bear, that I had much more creative freedom on, and I think the decision making was much purer. Even though, I still ran stuff past Nick, past Dustin to get opinions. And ultimately, we made the film in that way. And from a story standpoint, we did that together. But when it came to making it, I made it myself. And so that was a cool process there too. So I've lived in both. And, there is a level of, like I said, there's a level of compromise you have to do when you're doing huge projects.
I'm new to animation, but I don't know how to get started properly. Do you have any tips, Aaron?
Well, it depends on if you want to animate traditionally on paper or if you want to animate by hand digitally. You can get started very easily from a digital standpoint. You can get started very easily on paper as well, but it takes a little more work to get stuff shot and played back and that sort of thing. But if you want to work, but even then, you can shoot stuff on your phone. There's little animation apps for your phone that you can get. But there's plenty of information out there online on how to get started with animation as far as the fundamentals. We've got them on our website. They're all over YouTube. And really, the key is to start drawing. And especially hand-drawn animation, it's so much easier to get started because all you got to do is sit down and start moving that hand and start drawing. If you want to do 3D, that's a whole other ball of wax that you got to figure out. And there's a lot more complexity when it comes to having to create a model, rig that model, and then start animating it.
Hey, Aaron, why don't you have TV Paint full screen on your desktop?
Because I just didn't set it up that way today. I can go like this. There we go. Now it's full screen.
Let's see. There was do you have any plans for any more large or smaller projects?
I missed the gills. Any large? Do I have any plans Yeah, I mean, we've got, sorry, I was thinking at the same time. We've got a couple of, several features that we're working on right now. We've got several smaller animated projects we're working on as well. We've got a lot of things in the hopper.
With with all the pressures in the art industry now, do you think you still would have pursued art as a career if you were starting today?
What pressures? What pressures are you talking about? I don't see, and pressures aren't any different. Now, as a matter of fact, I think there's more opportunity in the art world now than there ever was when I started. I would argue that there was more pressure when I started than there is now. There was less opportunity. There were less tools. There was less ways of sharing your art. I would argue completely opposite of what your question is insinuating. I would say there's much more opportunity now in the art world to create, more tools to create, more modes of sharing that work through social media. Yes, I would definitely start. I would do it the same way. I love this age. I love the new tools. I love the ability to share the way that we share now.
Now, if you're talking specifically about the fact that there's been lots of layoffs in the animation and game industries and all those right now, that stuff tends to be cyclical.
It is cyclical. We went through it in the 90s.
Those jobs have never, the entertainment industry has never been a stable profession in that regard. There's always been ramp ups for projects. There's always been ramp downs when projects end. There's studios scale up and they contract. Aaron went through them closing 2 or 3 studios while you were at
Oh yeah,
Disney,
I've gone through. I've been doing this for 37 years. I've gone through a lot of different changes in the industry, and we survive. You adapt. You know, as an artist, you have to be adaptable.
You also have to learn new skills as the technology comes along. Some of the people that unfortunately lost their jobs weren't willing to adapt to new skills as they became,
Yeah, if you hang on to old ways of doing things and refuse to adapt, yeah, you're going to be left behind. Now, there's people that are still painters that have refused to, or have been oil painters their whole life and will always be oil painters, and there's still a market for that. But if you're in an industry that requires you to adapt, like I adapted to digital work, then that's, you've got to be able to do that.
And I think there's a separation between why you do art versus the career side of it. And
Exactly.
So Aaron does art because he loves it, and it turned into a career, not necessarily the other way around, right? You didn't go, I want to have a career, and I think I'll pick art.
No, I've always loved art, and from the time I can remember, my parents always said, "Wow, you're going to be an artist when you grow up." And so to me, I just always loved art, and then once I got to the age where I needed to decide what I wanted to do for a career, I said I want to do art.
And there's all kinds of ways to make a living in art. There's a lot more than just working for big studios.
Exactly.
When I graduated Ringling College of Art and Design in 2002, the animation industry had gone through another slowdown because September 11th had happened. There was a big economic slowdown. This was after the boom of Toy Story and Lion King, and a bunch of bad films had come out and not done as well after the boom. When I went in 98, everything was booming. By the time I came out in 2002, things had contracted quite a bit and the job market was not the same. So myself and some other students from Ringling, we started our own studio.
Yeah. You got to be adaptable.
We went and found work,
The people, I find that, and I'm going to sound like the grumpy old man again. The people that complain the most are the ones that aren't searching, the ones that, the ones that aren't out there, adapting and making, you can either, you can be that, you can try to change the river, or you can be the stone that gets smoothed over and adapts to the river. And one is a lot easier than the other.
How many frames is this so far?
This whole thing is so far I've got 41 drawings. That's what I've done. We've done 41 drawings in the last hour and a half. It'll end up being 44 drawings. I've only got 3 more to go.
Zero Connection asks, is the storyboard stage the experimental stage in animation on an animation feature? Assuming you don't disregard frames of animation.
Well, there's experimental stages at every stage, really, when you think about it. Starting with writing, you're experimenting with what's going to work in the story, and then in storyboarding, you are experimenting with staging. You're experimenting with acting. When you get into animation, you're going to experiment with more definitive acting choices. So there's really experimentation at every stage. The key to each stage is to make sure that you're at least giving the stage that comes after you enough material to really build off of.
Rihanna on Twitch says, I am new to your channel. I'm finding it very interesting and loving the content.
Oh, I'm glad you're here. Thank you.
Welcome.
We typically live stream on Fridays. We're live streaming on Wednesday this week because Friday in the US here is a holiday, the 4th of July. So we won't be live streaming this upcoming Friday as a result. So we didn't want to miss a stream this week. But typically we're Friday afternoons. As a concept artist, I sometimes get stuck making my designs too realistic. How do you keep a balance between realism and stylization?
Well, there's an infinite number of levels that go between realism and stylization. You can make something as stylized as you want, and then obviously there's photorealism at the other end of the spectrum. So I would say get yourself versed in design, stylization for design, and I don't know what to say other than that. I mean, it's really, understanding design concepts that are going to help you with your stylization. I think a lot of people get caught up in realism because we live in a real world. And so the first things you're going to draw outside of drawing cartoons that you see on TV when you're a kid is you're going to draw the world the way you see it. And then the artistic interpretation comes from you interpreting what you see and what you live into your own stylistic design interpretation.
TikTok comment, oh, I've only seen you do paper on here. I didn't realize that was you at first. I can't wait to see some digital work.
Well, here we are. Matter of fact, let me hit play so you can see. We're animating a shark. Doot, 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 doot.
Another TikTok question. I see that you've been selling an art book. Is it available for shipping to the Ukraine and Bulgaria? Yes, it is. CreatureArtTeacher.com/books. In fact, if you're in the USA, you can get free shipping this weekend if you use promo code, or this week, I should say, if you use promo code USA Books.
Animating is fun. I'm going to show you something really cool when we finish this animation. I'm going to be able to create a brush out of this. I'm down to my last drawing.
You're very last.
Yep, my 44th drawing.
Did art impact your perception of life in general?
Of course. I mean, I can't imagine my life without art because it is such an integrated part of my life. My parents were both artists, along with my father being a professional musician. I grew up around music and visual arts my entire life. And so it's always been a huge part of my life to the point where I can't imagine my life without it.
Carlo on YouTube asks, I have a plan for myself. I want to get funds and create my own animated film. What do you think are the risks in that? Probably distribution, I imagine. What if I waste years in animation without distribution?
Well, why do you want to make a film? Answer that question for yourself. Do you want to make a film because you want to get it distributed and make money, or do you want to make a film because you want to make a film? And those are the things that I think you need to answer first. Sit down and make the film. Worry about how you get it out there afterwards.
I'll tell you who's an example of that. Richard Williams, Thief and the Cobbler.
Exactly.
He kept working on it and just made it. He didn't have money at times. He didn't have distribution. And unfortunately, in that case, there were some problems with how the film ended up getting taken away from him, but it never stopped him from making it.
So I'm going to shrink the shark up just a little bit here, just so it's not so big when I go to make the brush. And it's going through and resizing everything. So now, when I play it, I can blow it up. So there's our shark swimming, all on ones. The tail's a little fast. I would have kind of respaced. I think if I were to kind of really do this for a film, I would go through and respace some of those tails so they're not all hanging in each extreme. I've got them all kind of bunched up, too bunched up in the extremes. But I like it overall.
It kind of looks like he's doing like a...
Yeah. Yeah, like that.
I kind of like
I
that,
want it
though,
to
in a
be,
way.
I would like it to be more like this, more even. The way a shark just kind of relaxes.
Mm-hmm. But I've seen them do that too when they're picking up speed, right? When they kind of do a push off.
And one of the things I did was kind of bunch up some of the in-betweens towards each key pose, so you can see it slows in and slows out.
Erica says, this is so great, Aaron.
Well, thanks. So now what we want to do, thank you, Erica. So now what I want to do is I want to go in here and I'm going to create a color and texture layer. Let's turn off that. And let's make this shark kind of grayish.
Here's a question, Aaron. Question for Aaron. When you worked on those Roger Rabbit cartoons, did you ever get to interact with Charles Fleischer? If yes, was he as unhinged as he seems?
Yes. I didn't personally interact with him, but he came into the studio a few times, and the guy's a kook.
He was hilarious at the end.
He's an interesting cat.
Yeah. When him and the guy who does Goofy did Bella, that was hilarious.
Yeah, he's really funny. So TV Paint has this ability where you can basically kind of draw where you want the color to go, and it fills it in automatically for you.
This design, there's a way to do it where you just color in one frame and it colors all of the rest. This one, it might actually do it, but I don't remember how to do it.
Yeah, and I don't want to waste time figuring it out because I have no idea how to do it. And every time I've tried to do it, it never does it quite right.
It depends on the design, but I think this one with the shapes being all pretty much the same from frame to frame, I think we'd be able to do it. Aaron, are you by chance planning to do some animation with marine themes, ergo mermaids and dolphins and other creatures in Procreate Dreams, perhaps?
I could. I love underwater stuff, and I'd love to do an underwater film at some point with whales.
Twitch comment. It always blows my mind when I think about how sharks have to actively swim in order to breathe.
They do. Not all of them. There's some sharks that don't have to do that. Nurse sharks.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Nurse sharks don't have to swim, but there are, white sharks and a lot of pelagic. Well, most sharks are pelagic, but ones that, are big travelers, they have to always keep moving. Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on hybrid animation, like combinations of 2D and 3D?
Yeah. I mean, I think it all depends on every medium is
Valid.
valid. Yeah.
That one short, was it Disney? Was it Pixar? The Paperboy?
Paperman.
Was it
Yeah.
Paper.
That was Disney, right?
Yeah.
That was the hybrid, wasn't it? They did
Yeah.
both 2D and 3D
Yeah.
and merged them together.
Hey, Dustin,
Yeah.
what games have you been playing recently?
Lots of War Thunder.
My friend Mike Kayada's game is out now. FBC Firebreak, he directed it.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Very nice.
by Remedy, who also did the game Control, if you're familiar with that. It's a multiplayer game.
Nice.
Did you ever play Left 4 Dead?
Not really.
It's like a multiplayer with the zombies.
Yeah. I know. I have friends that play. They used to play a lot. but
Yeah,
they just
Firebreak's not exactly like that, but it's kind of that style of game where it's like a
Gotcha.
multiplayer and a story.
yeah.
style
And
environment.
you can
You
play
get it.
play in a group.
Yeah.
Yeah. The real recent like multiplayer co-op that I've been playing has been Helldivers. Helldivers 2.
Is Arcane a hybrid? I think Arcane has some 2D effects animation, but the movie itself is, or sorry, the show itself is 3D animation.
Yeah, all
with
the
some painted textures and stuff over top of it. I believe all the textures were hand painted and stuff, but it's not what I would call a hybrid per se.
yeah, all the characters like they make it look like the textures are all they almost like as though they have almost like a watercolor oily kind of
Mm-hmm.
texture to them, but that's just a texture. Like they are CG animated, but like you said, all the visual effects, the explosions, smoke, all that is 2D animated. And I think there was like a couple of flashback moments where those were 2D animated as well. But
So now I can do this. So let's do extract.
Aaron, do you have any tips on how to animate objects as if the camera is moving past them, like through an environment?
Yeah, you got to animate the perspective. That's what you got to do. And it's not easy. Oops. So yeah, you've got to animate the change in perspective on that character. So what I've done is I've added color. Now I want to. TV Paint is really good at creating fake effects. So here I want to do some toon shading. So I'm going to put a light on top of the shark. Do. Like so. I'm going to open this way up. Let's give it that. And I'm going to change the color so it feels like it's light.
Again, I want to let people know that Aaron has a free, absolutely free paper animation course at creatureartteacher.com. Go to creatureartteacher.com/paper. You can get his 22-hour course with 17 videos for free. And that's not a rental. That's not timed access. That is yours to access as much as you want. Go at your own pace.
Here you go.
of course.
Did you add a little tune shading to it?
Yeah, so we put
nice.
a little light on top. Now sharks have white bellies, so if I I don't know, if I put a shading underneath them, it'll look a little weird. So I think I'm just going to leave it like that. So now what I want to do is I'm going to highlight. Oh, actually, I want to combine the layers. So I'm going to come like this. I'm going to drag this down, and I'm going to go OK. And so what I've done now, I'm going to turn off my line layer. And so now what combined, I've taken the line layer and I've combined it with the color layer. So this is all one layer now. Both, what you're looking at. Okay. So then what I do is I come up to my crop tool. I'm going to highlight the entire timeline, just like that. Highlight the timeline. I'm going to come up to my crop tool and I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to highlight, I'm going to basically grab the entire shark and it's going to ask me, do I want to cut out an animation brush? And I'm going to say yes. So now watch what happens. If I draw across, I've got this animation that kind of repeats. That's all on one frame. So now watch what I can do. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to create a new layer right here. And I'm going to make a really long, come on.
Hey, look at this. Somebody just asked what Lilo Roche bag you have. Have you seen this? They did a little sketch of you on their website.
Hey, look at that.
What? Let me see that. Love it.
Someone did ask which Artie bag you have. You have a couple of them.
Yeah.
And I'm adding empty instances.
I have a couple of them right here.
Add empty instances. Apply.
Empty instance, did you say?
Empty instances. I'm turning off this layer. There's my shark brush right there. I'm going to shrink it. I'm going to shrink it down to about,
Well, someone asked on TikTok if he worked on Home in the Range. No, he did not. Aaron was working on Brother Bear.
I was working on Brother Bear at the time.
He directed Brother Bear.
And so down here, I'm going to create a brand new animation layer. And I'm going to fill that. Right here. I'm going to go ahead and fill that background just like that. Now I'm going to come back up here and I've got my animation brush right here. So you can see it sits on here. Now what I do is I'm on this empty timeline right here. And all I have to do is hold the control key and I'm just going to move across like this. Now watch. So I'm not quite, I don't like that pace. So I'm going to go back and redo it.
You hold shift, I think it'll do a straight line as you go. It'll lock it to a straight line.
Well, I don't like the speed.
Ah,
I want to go slower. So I'm going to hold the control. I'm just going to move really nice and slow.
Nice and easy. Easy does it now.
Now when I play back, he's swimming across the screen. Look at that. So now I can do that multiple times.
someone asked which model Artie you have. So these are the Arties that Aaron has. They have an A4 and an A3. I honestly don't know which sizes these are. Do you, Aaron?
Don't know.
I think these were
My
before they.
phone's ringing. Is it junk?
Ah, the backwards mirror is messing me up. These are the Arties. They're awesome bags. LiloRoche.com.
Yes. Yeah.
So now I've got 3 sharks. See that? It's pretty cool what you can do with this animation brush. I'm going to create a school of sharks. Now I can also adjust, stop it. I can adjust the size. So now let's go up in size and let's make some darker. I mean, not darker, but bigger ones. And I can move it.
Someone wrote on YouTube, this could work as a screensaver.
Yes. Maybe we'll make this available as a screensaver. So now I've got bigger sharks. Here he comes. See that? Now we've got depth. As they get bigger, they're going to move past camera a little faster. See that? We do one down here. So again, I hold the control key. There. There's the one I just did right there. See them going by? I love when they overlap. See that? Now, let's make it even bigger. So there he is there. Watch. This is so much fun. There he goes. Swimming by. Lots of sharks. This is what's really cool with the animation brush. You can animate something. This is how I did the snow in Snow Bear. I created a little snowflake tumbling, and then I painted all the snow going across the screen. Watch this. Let's go even bigger with it.
And then you could take this and bring it into Premiere and put some of them in focus, some of them out of focus. Actually, there's a blur rate in TV Paint, right? You
Yep.
can blur rate in TV Paint.
Oh, hold on. Doggone it.
While Aaron's fixing that, I also want to remind people that July is watercolor month. It is a great time of year to get outside and do some watercolor painting. To celebrate, all of our watercolor courses at Creature Art Teacher are just $10 each, and the more you buy, the more you save. So if you buy 2 courses, you get 2 for $15. CreatureArtTeacher.com.
I think it'd be really funny if you do this in a loop. Just like have one absolutely random, like all the way in the back, just one going backwards, like tail first.
Yeah.
Like that's not right.
That's cool.
On YouTube, someone wrote, Aaron made a deadly aquarium just for sharks.
There we go.
Are those sharks with lasers attached to their heads?
So we got some empty frames in here. I want to fill this out a little bit more. There's more like right in here, right about here. I want to start filling in some sharks swimming across. Oops, doggone it. Hit the wrong button.
Creative Knights on YouTube says, hi, Aaron, Dustin, and the rest of the team.
That's
Dunda.
me. I'm the rest of the team.
Dunda from Zambia. Firstly, love your work.
Thank
Secondly,
you.
I have a relatively demanding job, but still want to learn animation. What software would be good?
Well, if you are just dabbling and just kind of on the go, if you have an iPad, I would really recommend Procreate Dreams because it's a $20 one-time purchase. If it's something where you're going to be at a desktop, you cannot go wrong with TV Paint. But if you said you have a demanding job and are pressed for time, an iPad might be a good opportunity to sit down and learn the basics before you move on to something more robust. Would you agree, Aaron?
Yes.
Rada on Facebook asks, Aaron and Nick, can you share the story of how you two met and started to work together?
Go ahead, Nick.
Sure. So, Aaron and I both went to the Ringling College of Art and Design in Sarasota, Florida, about 12 years apart from one another. Well, I think, yeah, basically you're 12 years older than me, so give or take.
Yeah, I
Aaron-
started when I was 18. Did you go when you were 18?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So, Aaron was already animating and working at Disney and had done all those films and all that stuff by that point. And let's see, 98 when I started, you would have just been finishing up Mulan, right? Is that about right?
Yep.
Yeah. Getting ready to go to Brother Bear, I imagine, right?
I actually finished Mulan in 97, started Brother Bear in 97.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, after I graduated Ringling, I had started a studio, as I mentioned earlier, with some fellow Ringling graduates, and I was still based in Sarasota, where Ringling College is based out of, or is located. And several years after being a student there, they asked me if I would come back and teach part-time. I was teaching in the illustration department, and I had the entire senior class. I would teach them basically a course on portfolio and how to get jobs, essentially, is what the purpose of the course was. So I had the entire senior course, or senior class, illustration department. It was like 110 students. It was the largest class. And in that class, we would have a lot of visiting guest artists. So we would have people from Hallmark Cards or American Greetings or DreamWorks or Disney, or at that time, when I met Aaron, he had come back to the school many times, but when I met him, he had left Disney and was now working at Digital Domain. And you guys were recruiting from Ringling, and you came over and gave a talk. You talked to my class. They were also talking about visual development, a whole bunch of things. And so I met him giving a talk to my class, and we hit it off, and I was blown away, as were the students. I hadn't met Aaron at that point or seen his work. I was like really impressed. A few months later, we had an opportunity to go over to Digital Domain and see the studio. I had some teachers go with me. I said, hey, look, there's this film studio in Florida right across the state. We should be involved with them. Well, that visit went great. We had a great time then again. And then, unfortunately, Digital Domain about 9 months later went bankrupt. And Aaron, at that time, remembered that I kind of had a background in animation as well as website development, and called me up, and he was already starting to dabble with this idea of starting to do YouTube online and teach art education. And he asked me if I could help him get it off the ground. He had just kind of gotten started with his own website, and I told him everything he did was wrong.
Exactly. The website I was using was definitely wrong.
And we rebuilt it from the ground up and reimagined it, and we've been working together ever since.
Yeah.
It was a long-winded way to say we met at Ringling College of Art and Design.
It's a long-winded way of saying we met on Tinder.
Actually,
Grindr,
Martin makes a
Grindr.
joke on that. Martin said, Aaron always told us it was on Tinder.
But actually, we're brother-in-laws now, because after we were already working together as business partners, my wife Selena has a sister named Vedanta. Well, through Aaron and I working together, they ended up meeting, and they fell in love and got married.
Yeah, there we are. All right, I'm going to do a couple more small ones.
By the way, whatever platform you're watching on, hit those like buttons and those share buttons. Help us spread the word. Oh yeah, the name of that website, creatureartteacher.com.
So I've got to go really slow because these are the small, they're way off in the distance. So to get that parallax effect, you got to shrink up the brush and make it go slow. Then the closer ones you enlarge and you make them go fast. And that's how you get that parallax effect.
Yeah, you got one that's just snapping out of existence.
I know. I wasn't running them off far enough.
Boop.
Yeah, I can. Well, I might crop it. That'll take care of that. But look, we've got a school of sharks now. Do.
School of Sharks.
Do you have this is just a question because I don't know how it works. Do you have the ability to go back and individually select a shark and get rid of it if you don't like it? Or?
No, because they're all in the same layer.
Oh, so you could have avoided that by putting them on different
I
layers.
could do them, yeah. And then I end up with a different layer for every one of these sharks, which would, it'd make it'd make it kind of heavy. But like the ones that I pushed in the background, what I can do is I can go to this layer and I can push them. See how I can play with their opacity? So I can push them back a little bit, and it makes them
Little bit
feel
of
like
that.
they're pushed
Yeah,
back
yeah.
a ways.
Like atmospheric perspective.
Yes. So we got a little atmospheric perspective going on in there. It works pretty good. So now what I want to do, and what's nice about this is that it continually loops. It always loops back into itself. Because if it stops here and I'm still going across, it'll start over here. So it always continually loops on itself. So there's never any like glitch.
Because the core animation loops on itself, right?
Exactly. So now, I think what I want to do, I'm going to just experiment with the background just a little bit, changing that color.
Are you animating in Photoshop or Toon Boom?
This is TV Paint.
Neither.
Yeah, this is TV Paint.
TikTok comment, every time I see your videos, I'm so inspired. Thank you.
Well, you are welcome. Let's try this. Let's see what that looks like. Don't like it so much. Looks like they're flying in the sky. Actually, we can make sky sharks. Let's do this. I've got an even better thing we can do. Let's go into Photoshop. Actually, I'm going to do this.
Well, don't they actually? Isn't there kind of a that kind of effect in the water like there would in the sky that things just kind of fade into the water at a certain distance? The water perspective or
Atmospheric perspective. Yeah, we were
Yes.
talking about that earlier.
Yep.
That's really cool. I'm curious to see how it would look with depth of field.
Yeah, I can do that.
You would have to do more layers.
I'd have to do more layers. Yeah, and that's a lot of fun to do. We do this. There we go. So let's go into Photoshop.
What's that pop up?
Allow Adobe Photoshop to find devices on local networks.
Sure.
So now what I want to do is I'm going to do this. And what I want to do, I want to put a little dark with it. We're going to get a little dark.
or really, really, really dark gray.
What computer do you have? I have a PC, but is it worth upgrading to a Mac? Yes.
Yes.
Is
We
TV paid
love
free?
Mac.
No, it's not. It is a paid software, but it is a professional piece of software.
Dustin's a huge Mac fan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sure. No, I'm a PC guy.
It's not very PC.
You want to join Aaron in person in Orlando, Florida? We have just 3 spots left for our upcoming animation boot camp in Orlando, Florida, August 14th through 18th. You can learn more at creatureartteacher.com/bootcamp. It's going to be the basics of animation, the fundamentals, everything from the bouncing ball through some acting. It's going to be great. You're going to get hands-on, personalized feedback with Aaron. We're going to supply meals. Hotel is included. You just have to get yourself there. You can learn more. creatureartteacher.com/bootcamp. There are only 3 spots left. We're 90% sold out.
So here we are here. I'm going to here. I'm going to import. Right here, I'm going to go to my desktop. Just go to list. And we're going to import. And now we got a little ocean background. Whoops, I got to set that to hold.
There you
go. So we got a new little ocean background there.
That's cool looking.
Yeah. So the other thing we could do, I could do the same thing with bubbles. So I could make bubbles if I wanted to. We could do, I could do, seaweed kind of on a cycle. There's all kinds of fun stuff. Getting a variety of fish in there would be fun. But we just created a school of sharks in like 2 hours. So let's go ahead and export this.
Some pretty crazy stuff there.
Let's see.
That's a lot of sharks in the water.
Yes.
I would recommend not swimming in that pool. Full of sharks.
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 When I think of swimming and I think of sharks, I think of the 4th of July. Which reminds me, at creatureartteacher.com, we're having a 4th of July sale. If you go use promo code STARS15 and you can take $15 off any order over $50 or more. That'll get you tons of classes, by the way. Or you can take $15 off an annual membership plan, which will get you everything on the website, plus everything we release over the next 12 months. And it's all yours to keep. creatureartteacher.com.
Nice segue.
So now let's go to here. Let's go view. Oh, sorry. Let me do this. There we go.
Rebecca says Aaron needs a bigger boat.
We're going to view this full screen. We're going to view this on a loop. We're going to hit play. There we go. We got a school of sharks.
Don says, my budget keeps me a PC guy. Don, you should check out the M4 Mac Mini. It's incredible.
So there we go. You got a little school of sharks, guys. Yeah, we could make this a screensaver.
Yeah.
Easy.
You just got to set this to loop. There's our screensaver right there.
Yep.
And we did this in 2 hours. It'd be fun to come up with a whole bunch of different fish and bubbles and all of that. Maybe we'll market some of these.
Maybe we'll add to this file over time.
Yeah,
But you did animate a couple of some fish the other day, didn't you?
I did. I didn't like the way they came out though.
These
See,
have I like the nice swaggle.
This has the side, the back and forth. The other one, all it did was move its tail, so it just looked like it was a held cell.
one of those toy robots where
Yeah.
it hooks the tail.
But this actually feels like sharks swimming by, which is kind of fun. So there you go, you guys. Animated shark.
Every so often there's a little frame stutter. Is that just the software? I think that's just the software when it's.
No, when it's 'cause that's the loop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and if you see them popping off, that's because they're popping off. Because I didn't run them all the way off.
Got it.
But the stutter is it's coming to the end of the loop because the loop is 256 frames.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So there you go. But I do have
One more thing.
yeah, one more thing I wanted to show you really quick. Because there is one more thing I can do, and this will pop. But if I open Snow Bear, the Snow Bear reel, this is what I did the other day.
Where's it going to open to?
What's that?
Is this the Snow Bear project file?
Yeah, I did this the other day. And I hit cancel.
Well, I was just hoping it wasn't going to open to the end of the movie. Or
So what I got here is if I go to, where am I? I got to remember where it was. The last nested
They're showing the
section.
credits, by the way. That's the. I
Uh,
want to watch out.
yeah, D25. No, that's it there. That's 17. Maybe it didn't save it. Let me do a new sequence. New sequence. I'm going to hit OK. Then what I want to do is I want to go back to, where was I? Over here. We're going to go to the whales. And I'm going to grab all of that right there. I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to go to a new sequence. I'm going to paste it right here. I'm going to take this right there. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to import off of my desktop the sharks. Import. I'm going to bring them up here. Oops. Come on. Oh my gosh. There we go. Right there. I'm going to move this here. And I'm going to move all of this. I'm going to take all of this right here. I'm going to cut. And I'm going to grab all of that, get rid of it. I'm going to take all of this. I'm going to move it over. And I'm going to move that over. And then I'm going to come down here. Now what? Now I've got light effects and
His face back up.
particulate and all kinds of
He
stuff
lost
in
his
the
face.
water.
We lost his face cam.
Oh, I took it off. I turned it off.
Oh.
Yeah, I turned it off so they could just see the desktop. I did that.
Yeah, I'd rather see the face cam.
I did when I was playing the back full screen.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it's just right here. Aaron and desk. That's all. Not a big deal. So there we've got, there we go.
Particulate.
Got particulate. We got kind of the rays moving in the background just slightly. Got all kinds of fun stuff.
Cool.
Neat stuff.
So this one I'm going to export. And we'll call this Shark 2.
The Great Shark Migration.
And I'm going to send that to my desktop. There we go. Now we got it. Now let's go over here. Let's go Sharks 2. And let's set this to and play. Now we've really got the ocean. It's just that you're going to see it kind of skip. I'm going to take me off again so you can see it full screen.
I got
There
you.
we go. That's what the screensaver would look like. So we got all kinds of stuff floating through the water. We got sharks swimming. There's a little glitch there. It's not too bad.
That's
Sharks.
super cool.
Yeah, it works great. I love this animation brush in TV Paint. It's really cool what you can do. And you know, when you can create effects like this, you can do flocks of birds. You can do snow falling. You can do rain falling. You can do bubbles coming up. Schools of sharks. You know, all kinds of fun stuff. It's a really great time saver. So there you go. There you go. Put it back. Good. All right. You want to
No, I think that's it.
hit the sales again?
Yeah,
one more
everybody,
time?
we've got our big 4th of July sale going on at creatureartteacher.com. Don't forget, starting now, go over, everything is on sale, and if you use promo code STARS15, you can get an extra $15 off your order. Also, be sure to check out some watercolor courses this month. It's a great time. The weather's gotten nice. Get out there, do some painting. You can pick up all of our watercolor courses for just $10 each, or you buy two and you get two for $15. Go to creatureartteacher.com, get some watercolor classes. And finally, we have just 3 spots left for our animation boot camp. If you want to be drawing and animating with Aaron live in person in Orlando, Florida, creatureartteacher.com/bootcamp. And actually, I know I said finally one more thing. Don't forget, we also have a free, absolutely free course on paper animation. Pick it up. It's not going to last much longer. In fact, I think that offer ends Monday. creatureartteacher.com. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks, you guys. That was awesome.
See you next time.
Cowboy Bebop. Bye.